everybody? Welcome to another edition of Box Seats. I'm your host, Frank Holder. This is the show where we talk about sports with comedians. We have great conversations about this, and a lot of times, the sports conversation goes all over the place. But what we're going to do is we're going to jump into it. Talent is not in today. Fig's not up yet, so I'm going to bring in Mr. Rodney Perry.
Mm-hmm. See? Who got your back? Huh? Huh?
All right, okay, all right, okay.
Yes.
My man Amir's in the building too, man. Mr. A-Rock Silly, how you doing, sir?
What's going on, gentlemen? How y'all doing today?
A-Rock Silly in the building.
A-Rock said,
yes,
"Oh, look like Fig jumped on the line after all." Like that. Fig,
what's going on, yo, man? It's good to be here on this Thursday, this fine afternoon.
Yes. And also today we got a comedian known as Cornelius George out. He's sitting there with us. Bro, how you doing today, sir? How's everything?
I'm doing good, man. It's hot outside, so I'm glad to be inside today.
Oh, yeah, in Atlanta, it's super hot, though. I ain't been outside in 4 days.
It's hot in Atlanta. Cornelius, you in Atlanta?
Yes, sir. I just finished up my heat acclimatization training for coaching. Man, it is too hot to be outside trying to practice any sport. It's too hot to be practicing swimming right now. It's too hot swimming right now. I'm in the indoor pool, baby. I'm not going. No.
All right, so we're going to really jump into the show. Cornelius, since you're not familiar with the show, what we do is we talk about all the hot topics, what's going on in sports and everything else. Lately, I've been doing rapid fire, so I've been asking comics different questions in order to keep the show moving on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start asking
Can I ask a question? What made you make that up?
Honestly, because it made people like you stop falling asleep while I do the show.
It damn sure put me down.
Yeah, like it keeps you on your toes, don't it, Rodney Perry? Like, oh, what? And now you want to ask some other stuff.
Your voice, you got the type of soothing voice, put me down anyway.
I like that.
Rodney, I'm telling your wife.
Her voice get on my nerve.
You know what I'm gonna do? You know what I'm gonna do today? Today I'm gonna mix it up. Today, thanks to you, Rodney Perry, I'll mix it up.
I don't believe you can do it. I don't believe you can do it.
The order is not going to stay the same, brother. The order is not going to stay the same.
We shall see. We shall see.
Okay, let's get ready to jump into it. First up is my man A-Rock Silly, man.
I thought you were going to start with talent.
Hold on. Let me get a good laugh in there for that. All right, so now we get ready to do the show. All right, so A-Rock, man, let me get ready to Joe and this, man. You up first, man. Sue Bird announced her retirement at the end of her career. This is going to be her last season. She just announced it before we jumped into Sports Center. And being that you obviously had a brother who played in the NBA, can you talk about how somebody who's played in the WNBA, she's got 2 NCAA titles, she's got 4 WNBA titles, she's got 2 USA titles, everything else, bro. This is her last season playing in the WNBA. She's getting ready to get a swan song type of season, everything else. Amir, I know that means a lot for a player. Can you talk to us about that, how that might be instrumental for her?
I think, it's so crazy. Wow, I didn't even realize that, Sue Bird is, at that pinnacle of her career. She's one of the names that obviously is synonymous with the WNBA when you really think about the fact that over the years, her name and certain other names have always been seemingly the names that are brought up every year in and year out when it comes to the WNBA. But she deserves it. She's one of those players who has given her heart and soul not only to the game, but most certainly to the WNBA and to the women's game. And she's one of the names that a lot of these young girls who now, find themselves toiling in AAUs around the country, hope to someday be, somewhat like her or, make their own mark on the game. So, kudos and props to Sue Bird. I can't think of, anything bad to say about her because she's one of those people who you cheered for and probably cheered against, even if you're not a big fan of the WNBA, just because of her love of the game. She's one of those true people who has always come and been, a consummate professional. So, like I said, big, oh, wow, I can't believe that it's the end, but it's weird because you don't think about how all of this, comes to an end technically when you think about even all of your favorite players in any sport. So, Sue Bird, job well done. Congratulations. We can't wait to see you in the Hall of Fame, love.
Right.
Beautiful.
Comedian Cornelius George. Check this out. My question for you is: Sue Bird has done everything you can imagine, everything else. When you're talking to your high school players and everything else like that, what do you say to them along the lines of trying to be somebody like a Sue Bird? How do you inspire them to be to what she is?
I just tell my students to work ethic matters. You know what I'm saying? Your work ethic matters. It doesn't. Your work ethic shouldn't change from middle school to the pros. If you have that tenacity, this is what you're striving to do, be your best player, then go for it. Then go be the best person you can be. Everything else take care of itself. Look at her work ethic from the time she's been in college, even before, all the way up to now. So that's what I tell them all the time. Make sure you have that dedication, that work ethic. Don't get the big head. Don't think that I'm the star, but make sure you got that solid work ethic. And that's what most of the stars have in common. You see that solid work ethic that they have.
Right. Mike Sean is also joining the show. Mike, how you doing today, bro? How's everything?
I'm good. Sorry I'm on the phone, but I got some internet problems going on.
You know, it's all right, bro. It's all right. I'm gonna come to you in just a second. Rodney Perry. Yeah, turn your phone sideways, bro. Rodney Perry. Okay, there you go. Rodney Perry. The question I have for you, sir, is Sue Bird has done everything she can do and everything else. When you talk to women and everything else, how do you think a person and a player like her, how do you think that resonates to women as we try to make sure we get the WNBA along the same lines of the NBA? You know what I mean? Because it's not the same, you know? So how do we try to...
No, it absolutely isn't the same. And, you know, she's one of those flagship ambassadors that can help that thing change, you know? And wow, I mean, I think Amir said it best. She has such a long career. I mean, I think maybe that's something that's affecting the WNBA, is that the players play so long because they don't play their season isn't very long, and they have generally long careers. I think Sue Bird is an icon, you know, but at the same time, will she ever get the same credit as a Kobe Bryant or LeBron James? Probably not, you know, but for a father with girls that's always looking for role models, it's perfect for me, man. She's a woman that we look up to in the Perry house.
Right. Greg, how long do you think it's going to be before WNBA gets up to where the NBA status is, especially if we start pumping out more players like Sue Bird?
You know, that really depends on the fandom, because I don't know if you remember, like the NBA really wasn't that popular in its outset. You know what I mean? Games on tape delay. And when you get two polarizing stars such as Larry Bird and Magic Johnson that put their stamp on the game and got the whole country interested in those two franchises, that's what catapulted the NBA to the status that we have today. Then we have players like a Michael Jordan, who was, you know, just incredible, which made everybody want to watch. In the United States and abroad, he was a universal icon. So I'm thinking until we get something like that going on with the WNBA, then they'll probably, you know, stay pretty much just like they are. If you have something that will galvanize the fans to go in and watch, I think that at that point, the WNBA will be able to rise to the level of the NBA.
All right. Mike Sean, for you, question for you as we switching up the topics, man. I don't know if you guys heard this. Roger Goodell this morning, the news came out that Roger Goodell's about to testify in front of Congress over the Commanders scandal and everything else. And also the news came out that Dan Snyder won't. Do you think, in your estimation, that Roger Goodell is testifying in Congress because he feels that if he doesn't, there'll be more scrutiny looked upon him because he doesn't testify? Or do you think it's a good thing that he's testifying in front of Congress? What do you think, Mike?
I don't think he has a choice. I think he has to testify, and they are outside of their league now. Remember, when Congress got involved in baseball with the steroid situation, things changed dramatically. Once Congress brings you in there, don't try and think you talking to us about the Deflategate. Don't try and think you can bamboozle this. If you get caught lying to Congress, it's a whole different ballgame. And the NFL has been basically the giant where we believe that the NFL can never fall. There's no such thing as forever. So he's going to have to be very careful and explaining the entire truth and nothing but the truth. Because this ain't a Ray Rice video. This ain't the deflating of football. This is standing in front of Congress. So this is critical.
Yeah, it definitely is. Rodney Perry, my question to you is, do you think that when you testifies in front of Congress, you think we're going to find out some more dirt that we weren't looking to see, like the Oakland Raiders scandal or maybe something else that, I mean, because honestly, remember what happened with the coach of the Raiders with what's his name getting fired just over the emails, and they didn't even dig in deep. What you think, RP?
I mean, we've seen this story constantly evolve over the past 2 years or more, actually. And I don't, people like Roger Goodell maintain what do they call it, a plausible deniability, right? They don't even, he don't know enough to give it all up, and he'll have people in place that know, but he don't really know what they know. And so they insulate the top guy where he's never in that position. So I'm sure the NFL, being the type of organization, the type of people they represent, the billionaires, they all maintain that. I would be surprised if Roger Goodell could tell them anything that was going to get him anything that could bring the NFL down.
Dan Cornelius, bro,
yes.
Dan Snyder is not going to testify. Do you think that's signifying some things along the lines of the color barrier? You think there's going to be some more Negro or N-words in his email, and that's the reason why he doesn't want to stick his neck out there?
Jesus.
I think he's not testifying because he's a billionaire. He's an owner. He's choosing not to. So I think he does have all that stuff in his email. Roger Goodell is testifying because he works for the owners, and so he's the person they're going to send up there. Just the stuff that they put out about the Snyder, that's just the tip of the iceberg. It's so much more into that that's not being seen. So of course he's not going to testify, because if he does, it's all going to come out and we're going to see who he really is, even though we really know who he is now. So yeah, he's not going to testify because he's a billionaire. He ain't got to.
Right,
wow.
Right.
And remember, he's not testifying because he hasn't been subpoenaed yet by Congress.
Right. Hold on. We'll get back to you, Mike. We'll get back to you, Mike. Fig X, do you think we're going to see some other owners who are going to end up being uncovered in this testimony with Roger Goodell? Because like Cornelius said, Roger Goodell works for the NFL. He really has no choice but to sit in front of Congress to do that. Do you think Dan Snyder is trying to show unity to the other NFL owners and more stuff is going to be, uncovered, or what you think?
It really all depends on what kind of charges they levy against Roger Goodell. Because I mean, if he's facing like some time or some serious charges, then he's gonna be like, I'm telling on everybody. I'm like, I'm just an employee. They the bosses. I work for them. So if he has some information that is going to incriminate other people to get himself out, he gonna tell. Listen, whenever Congress starts calling you in, or the Secret Service, or the FBI, they already have all the answers. So lying is futile. You might as well tell the truth because they already know the answers. They just want to see if you're going to lie to them.
Yeah.
So I'm going to lie. I'm going to lie for sure.
I'm lying.
Please. If he's facing any kind of jeopardy and jail time for something he did not do, he's telling on everybody. Because let me tell y'all, I ain't going to jail for nobody.
And he ain't
either. If it's something that I didn't do, and I'm going to take the hit for somebody else.
Congress, though, it's not like it's the Supreme Court. It's not the court system. Can you go to line to a congressman? Can you really go to jail for that?
Yes.
Like going to I lied to Congress. I mean,
it's not perjury. I think Cornelius makes a great point. I don't think that's perjury.
Okay, I don't care what you think. I'm telling you, you cannot lie to them.
Yes, hold on. Let Amir get his 2 cents in there.
Well, you can't say you can't speak English.
I will say this. I think, to everybody's point that's been made thus far, if my memory serves correctly, there was a gangster who was asked to speak in front of Congress. And if my memory serves correctly, he decided to not speak. And there is some levy to that. The only caveat to it, as Fig would say, is there's consequences to that. You lying to Congress doesn't necessarily do anything per se to you, but don't forget, Congress has the authority and the power to then make everything that you do going forward really be scrutinized. And once they kind of put that kind of pressure on you, they put those kind of levies on you, that changes the way that you're able to move and the things that you're able to get away with and not get away with. So that's why this is such a huge precedent in terms of this, him saying, or like Mike just pointed out, the fact that they haven't levied anything on him yet to say, hey, you're going to have to come in here and speak to these people. So we got to wait to see how this continues to play out. This might be the greatest live TV show we've seen in some time. So everybody buckle in.
It definitely will be. Rodney Perry, you up first, bro. Brittany Griner's detention hearing got moved to July 2nd. There's a couple of officials in the United States who are saying that Russia has extended it for one simple reason only. It's because Russia is trying to pressure the Biden administration to accept the deal that the Kremlin wants. The Kremlin keeps doing it. This is the third time that they moved Brittany Griner over. Meanwhile, they're trying to get some spies that are over here to be released and everything else. So to you, the question to you is that the same thing? Even though people are not looking at it like that, but is it the same thing? Or should Biden administration be forced to release Brittany Griner, so they can release some spies on that side? What's your take on it? How are you looking at it, Rodney?
I don't understand the question, man. I'm confused as hell. So
Biden administration is being forced by the Kremlin. They want the Kremlin is holding Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner is sitting there over in Russia. The Russians are saying, well, if you release some of our spies over here.
But I think so you're right. I heard that, but I heard they offered some people that they just didn't respond to.
No,
like the U.S. The United States offered like a guy, right?
Yes, the U.S. made an offer and everything else, but the biggest person they want is supposed to be the biggest spy in Russia's history. He's right here. They have, and the United States is not going to release the top spy for a basketball player. They're just not going to do it. The United States is not going to do it. So they keep moving back the date for Brittany Griner. Question to you is, how you feeling about this?
I mean, weed, man. People got to smoke it. I mean, I'm sorry to see this young lady get caught up in this mess, man. We talked about it this morning on my show. I had a legal guy in to talk about it. She shouldn't have been in the situation in the first place, which bodes to the WNBA, right? All right, but without getting into that, it's like wrong place, wrong time. Like, this is just poor timing for Brittany, because any other moment they would have threw the weed away and she'd have went home. But you're in the midst of a civil war between with them and who are the people they beating up?
Ukraine.
They beating up on the Ukraine, and you coming home during the same time. It was just bad timing, man. And I wish Brittany didn't have to go through this, but she'll be home soon enough, I believe. And it's tough for her to have to go through this, but Locked Up Abroad told us, man, don't be taking no weed to other countries.
Biden administration, Mike Sean, Biden administration is literally not paying no attention, no mind to this situation at all. They're not releasing, this our top super spy and everything else. But Brittany Griner is a star in the WNBA, and now obviously the WNBA is in the big news right now because of Sue Bird and everything else. Do you think the Sue Bird news puts any more pressure on the Brittany Griner situation or less? What's your take?
There's not going to be any more pressure put on. If it was Tom Brady, there'd be a damn civil war in this country right now if Tom Brady was in that prison. But it's Brittany Griner. We know the reality of the reality. They are not worried about that. Joe Biden ain't thinking about it. It's not on his top 30 list. I pray for that girl that she survives this. I don't know how they're treating her. I don't even want to think of the nightmare that she's in the middle of right now. But I'm in the hierarchy of what's important in this country. Brittany Griner probably doesn't even touch the first 30, 40 pages of Joe Biden's day. And I truly feel sorry for her. My prayers go out to her.
Yeah, she definitely does that, bro. She definitely does that. Yo, Cornelius, man, I want to ask you, man, when a situation like this arises, and you're trying to talk to, high school kids, because obviously I keep wanting to connect that to you, because I know you coach high school kids and everything else. What do you even say to them on a situation like this? Because I'm sure they have no clue or understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, they really don't have a clue, but I think the whole Biden situation is touchy because if you don't do something, you have people going, oh, you don't care enough about black people or black women, in their lives. Like he said before with Tom Brady, you would do that, and then how the Russians are playing up against it. If we pay anything to the Ukraine situation, they have been treating those people horribly in the first place. And then if you paid attention to the situation, how they weren't letting minorities out of the country, they were still doing things. So we as a people are getting a raw deal across the entire world. And being an educator, I have to be cautious how I relate that. But kids still can see, they can see beyond the veil. They can see beyond the veil. They go, oh, they wouldn't treat other people the same way that they would treat this young lady here.
Right. Fig, I'm gonna change the subject over to you, bro. Let's jump into the NBA. Time's moving. So anyway, Fig, you up first. The Rockets traded Christian Wood to the Mavericks in exchange for the number 26 overall pick, Boban Marjanovic, Sterling Brown, Trey Burke, and Marquise Chris. Does this make the Mavericks a much better team now that they added 2 other scorers and plus a couple of other bench to help out Luka Doncic? Or do you think the Mavericks are in the exact same position that they are, and this absolutely does nothing for them with this trade that they have?
Give me the names again, Frank. I need to wrap my mind around it.
The Rockets are giving Christian Wood to the Mavericks. Mavericks gave up 26 overall pick. They let go Boban Marjanovic, who came off the bench, Sterling Brown, Trey Burke, and Marquise Chris. The Mavericks got a scorer with Christian Wood. Christian Wood was literally one of the second most leading scorer on the Rockets. So now you got Luka with Christian Wood off that top right there for them. How you like that? You like that trade for the Mavericks?
I'm not. You know what? I'm not. I hate to say, basketball is my number one sport. I'm not that familiar with Christian Wood, but here's the thing. I think the Mavericks are going to lose one of their players, if not more, in Brunson, and that was their point guard. Brunson was big time for Dallas, and I think he's getting up out of there. The thing with Luka is he reminds me of another version of James Harden, meaning that he's extremely ball dominant. And until he learns to trust his teammates and get them involved early, I think Dallas is not going to go very far. Like, they'll make the playoffs about every year. They might make it to the second round, maybe, luck up and make it to the third round. But until Luka starts to share the ball, they probably won't go very far.
All right, Amir, you're up, bro.
Yes, sir. Yep.
Oh, okay. Amir, I couldn't see you for some reason on my side. Hold on, let me drag this thing over here. All right, Amir. NBA's playoffs have been kicking underway and everything else, man. What's been your best NBA playoff series so far? Which one you say, you know what, this is the series I'm absolutely loving?
That's a good question, Frank. Because the officiating has kind of been all over the place, it's been hard to truly appreciate the playoffs the way we would like to. But I think that to be honest with you, probably the Boston and the Miami Heat series for me probably was one of the better series thus far in the playoffs. Some of the other series I thought would have been better and probably would have been able to match that kind of energy. Maybe had not Morant gotten injured in the Golden State Memphis series, I thought that could have been one to watch. But I'd have to say at this point for me, it's got to be the Boston and Miami series, because I feel as though Jimmy Butler, who we didn't necessarily look at as a bona fide scorer per se, not that he can't score the basket, but we didn't look at him as that kind of player. He proved in the prior series and most certainly in the series against Boston that obviously he can not only put the ball in the basket, but he can knapsack a team if necessary. And I thought that was really, really impressive. So for me, it would have to be the Boston-Miami series to this point.
All right, Mike Sean, who has been, in your estimation, the MVP of the entire playoffs so far? All the way up to whether the team is in or out. Who was if you look back from the start of the playoffs to the end of the, to Game 5, right now, who's been the best player in the playoffs overall, whether they won or lost? Who have you liked their performance at so far?
I know mine is going to be obvious. I wish I could give y'all a surprise one, but Steph Curry. I got to just, I would love to be able to be that guy with the hot take and to be able to pull one out and be like, oh, give it to Ja Morant or Anthony Edwards, even though that was my favorite series, the Memphis Grizzlies and Minnesota Timberwolves. Steph Curry has put his stamp on it, man. Like, he's put a stamp on the NBA, and he's put a stamp so heavy that what they're going to do is there's going to be somebody on TV like Skip Bayless who's going to have the hot take and say Andrew Wiggins should be the MVP or co-MVP, and they're going to say something crazy, and that's going to get the headlines. It's Steph Curry. I'm not a Golden State Warrior fan. I have the utmost respect and admiration for the way that dude has played this playoff season, yo.
Yeah. Well, Rodney Perry, my favorite player so far in the entire playoffs has got to be Ja Morant. I wanted to throw that out there. Rodney Perry, which team surprised you with a loss that's not in the playoff? Obviously, there's only 2 teams left, but which team was the biggest surprising loss to you that you thought would have won a series? Who do you think?
I mean, it would have to be the Nets, man. I mean, to watch those guys implode the way they did, you know, I think we all kind of held, you know, some hope for them guys. You know, when LeBron is out of the playoffs, at least KD will be in. And then we see KD go down, it's like, get the hell out of here, man. And so when we start talking about next year and who's going to be there, I'm like, y'all might want to remember that them old men is still out there. And in reference to the other thing we talked about earlier, you cannot lie to Congress. It's called general perjury. It comes with a maximum 5-year sentence. But it's different types of lies. If you lie under oath to Congress, it can be up to 8 years in jail.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. Cornelius.
Yeah.
You're not normally on the show. We argue back and forth about who's the best player, who's this and everything else. To me, I like to, keep my, comments to myself sometimes. And I ask everybody their opinion. We've had some hot takes during the playoffs and everything else this year. I want to ask you, what's your biggest hot take in the playoffs right now? What's the team that you said, you know what, these boys is on fire and I like them and I like what they're doing? Who, you know what I mean? Even whether they're in or out.
The only player that I really liked was Ja Morant. I think he's that player. He energized. He brought it to the game. Like people said, Luka Doncic, I don't think he's going to do anything until he learns how to pass the ball. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? He's like the kid that went to the park and it was his ball if he ain't playing. You know what I'm saying? He's going to take his ball with him. He's that guy. Like, oh, hell no. I mean, I think Luka Doncic has a yo-yo string on the ball because he don't know. He may act like he's going to pass it, but it's going to be right in his hand. But as far as that, Ja Morant is the guy for me right now. He's the only team I play with on NBA 2K.
Yeah, Ja Morant's the dude right now. Well, so now we're going to talk about the NBA Finals. We're going to do some quick shuffle passes about the NBA Finals figure. I'm going to throw it out with you and everything else. So you're up first, man. Do you think the refs are going to become a story in the game tonight? Because, obviously the game is tonight. You think the refs going to become a story?
I certainly hope not. I know a lot of guys, we've talked about the referees getting extremely involved in the game. And the problem is if the NBA really wants a game 7, which they probably do, I hope they don't try and manipulate their way into a game 7 because there's too many variables when you're on the basketball court that can happen to either team. A major injury to a key player, you're pushing it to a game 7 and you cost somebody a championship by trying to manipulate the game. So I hope that the referees just call the game, you know what I mean, and not try and manipulate who's going to win or the outcome of the game. I hope they're not.
All right. Amir, do you think Klay Thompson's going to have that infamous, known as Game 6 performance that everybody's been talking about tonight?
I don't know. It's funny. I mean, the entire playoffs, we've seen obviously Klay have moments, and that's to be expected. I think Klay is still trying to get and find that rhythm for himself. If we're gonna be honest, and sometimes it's not in the first year. This is the first year back. He's still trying to find that moment where he can get in gear and stay in that gear. I don't know if this is going to be the night that happens, but if it does, obviously that will be have a major impact on the game and be something that Golden State can stick a feather in their cap about. But we have to wait and see. I think this is still a feel-out situation for him because, like I said, he just seems to right now just have moments. Hit a couple in a row, and then all of a sudden, he doesn't seem to be able to, stay in that, same energy. So it remains to be seen.
Mike Sean, Andrew Wiggins, is he the biggest steal right now for the Golden State Warriors since Minnesota seemed like they gave him away up for almost peanuts?
Yeah, it's the biggest steal. And it shows you what happens when you go to an organization that knows how to use your talent set, your skill set properly. The man was averaging 20 points with the Timberwolves, but that organization at the time was a mess. They were a mess. They were changing head coaches. They didn't know how to use the skill set. He was drafted probably too high. And when a player gets drafted to a bad organization, he catches the blame. He catches the blame even when he's scoring 20 points. They were like, well, his motor, he doesn't have the motor. He's got the same motor. He's just in a better situation with better players who know how to use this guy properly. Yeah, he's the biggest steal in the NBA, and his stock has risen so crazily that he's probably made himself, I don't know when his contract is up, but he's probably made himself in one season an extra $20 to $25 million minimum.
Yeah.
Because somebody wants Andrew Wiggins right now on their team.
Yeah, definitely with that. With that being said, Cornelius, man, do you think Jimmy Butler's noise that he made going out of Minnesota is going to make somebody's head roll today? Because Jimmy Butler was saying it was Minnesota. People were like, no, it's you. That's why he got shipped out of Minnesota. So what do you think Minnesota corporate is looking at right now?
I think that's all on Jimmy Butler. When he left, he been in Philly, he been in Miami. He's a great player, but I think part of that is him. Everywhere he's been the same problem. And everybody say, it seems to be the common denominator. You can't have the same issue everywhere you go. Mm-hmm. It's like a guy. If you break up with 10 ladies for the same reason, because they all crazy, it ain't them that's crazy. It's your ass that's crazy. You know what I'm saying? So Jimmy, he just blamed. Pay attention. He blamed everybody else for every situation. He blamed Miami. I mean, he blamed everybody else but Jimmy. Jimmy, it's you.
Yeah, I agree with that one. I
just got to say one thing, but Jimmy was right about the Sixers and he was right about the Timberwolves. He was right.
Hey, the sun shines on a dog's ass twice every now and then. That's what they say. I mean, you ain't wrong.
I'm saying he was right.
Mike Sean, biggest moment in the finals so far for you? Biggest play, biggest moment, biggest play was that, because every finals they always say this was the turning point of this, this happened in this moment, and you know what I mean? Biggest moment in the finals to you.
Biggest moment.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, I wouldn't be me if I didn't ask these kind of questions, bro.
Biggest moment was, but it's not a moment. It's just the reckless. The moment is the Celtics' recklessness with the basketball.
Yeah, but let me put it to you in perspective. Remember the time when the Celtics were playing Milwaukee and Al Horford pushed off, what's his name, and slammed and pushed off Giannis. Yeah. That turned the series around. That motivated the Celtics to get anything else. There was that moment. Then you can go to literally the moment that happened with Phoenix, the Phoenix series, when Chris Paul was talking all that trash and that stuff was going on, and next thing you know, they got into another gear, and Dallas got into another gear, and they beat Phoenix. I mean, there's moments that happen in the series. We all know this. You know what I mean? There's moments. We all know this. So to you, what the biggest moment was of this series so far? That's why I asked you that question.
When the refs decided that they were going to call 2 technicals on the Celtics and they were going to let Draymond Green follow Jason Tatum to the bench after a timeout and not say anything.
All right, that's a good one. I'm gonna ask Big. Big, what was your biggest moment in the finals so far? Because there's been a couple of them, depending on how you look at it.
I didn't think about when Giannis dunked on Al Horford and then kind of stared him down, and Al Horford, turned the game around. But, moving fast forward to me is when Golden State lost to the Celtics, and the next game, Steph came back and dropped 43 pretty much by itself, I think that changed that whole series, because I think they realized if this guy is on, there ain't nothing we can do with him. And then the very following game, they started double and triple teaming him, and then they let the others happen.
Well, the following game, the Celtics won. They went up 2-1.
No. But I was saying, when the Celtics went up 2-1, that very next game is when Steph went off.
Okay,
and dropped 43 points.
Okay, because I was gonna say the Celtics lost. The Celtics won game 1. Golden State won game 2 in Golden State. And game 3, the Celtics won.
Celtics won. And game 4 is when Steph had 43 points. And they realized that in order for them to win, they need to stop him. But what they didn't realize, in stopping him, you let the others happen, like Andrew Wiggins, Klay Thompson, Gary Payton III, Poole.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are very capable if you play them one-on-one and you're paying all that attention to Steph. So you got to decide which poison you're going to eat. So I think the whole series changed when they realized Steph could carry the team and drop 43 points if you just try and play him one-on-one.
Okay. Cornelius, what is the biggest moment to you that happened in the series?
The biggest moment happened to me in the series was when Dale Curry and his ex-wife came in with the other spouse.
That was the biggest moment. That was the biggest moment.
I think that changed the series around because Steph want to get this shit over with. He want to get this shit over with, man. He came out that next week and lit him up. He want to get this series over with. Like, it's kind of bad though when your parents' private life take over the series of what's going on the court. And so I think that is the moment. That's going to be the moment because he's been on fire. He's been like trying everything he can to end this series immediately.
I can't even agree with you on that one. Amir, I don't think you answered this question, so it's up to you, bro. What's the biggest moment for you in this series right now?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it is the game where Steph I think went for 43. If I'm not mistaken, I think in that second half of that game, it appeared Boston forgot how to drive to the basket. They went 3 crazy and they just kept shooting threes. And I kept on thinking to myself, like, so nobody wants to try to get a 2, like not one guy, just for shits and giggles. But hey, the way the series is going, like you said, hopefully tonight we'll see if the refs don't do some tomfoolery. We'll have a great game and we'll see how this plays out. But I think it was that particular moment for me because I was like, not one person tried to drive the whole second half. Interesting, but okay.
A couple more questions for the NBA before we jump to the NFL. Mike Sean, you up first, man. Bradley Beal's linked to the San Antonio Spurs right now. Miami said that it's really too expensive for them, but Bradley Beal's linked down for San Antonio or Washington right now. What do you think, Mike? Mike? Bradley Beal to San Antonio Spurs? He's free agent.
He's linked to the San Antonio Spurs right now?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, because he said he wants to win.
Mm-hmm.
Like he said he wants. I'm not saying San Antonio in the future isn't going to win if Pop stays there, and I think they made the play-in this year. But if he wants to win so bad, why would you go to San Antonio? And why would you stay with the Wizards?
Yeah.
Like that kind of baffles me why he would want to go to San Antonio. I don't see the correlation with that and get into the NBA Finals within the next 2 or 3 years.
Right, I agree with that part. I agree with that one. Big, the Miles Turner, the center for the Indiana Pacers, is not interested in a contract extension. Indiana might possibly trade him, obviously before free agency. I mean, before the draft. It looks like it's going to happen. Your thoughts on Miles Turner not getting a contract extension, not taking a contract extension with the Pacers? Because he is there, we all know. He's the cog that makes the Pacers go because they play down low all the time. What do you think?
I like Miles Turner as a player. We haven't heard any noise from Indiana in quite a few years. Almost, I'm trying to think. It's almost like since Paul George left, we haven't really heard anything about Indiana. Right. So it's almost like a wasteland. It's almost like you just talked about Bradley Beal in Washington, D.C. Those guys just like, yo, we are not going anywhere and we are not doing anything. And I at least want to play on a team where we're competitive. So I could see him wanting to get out of there. And whatever team he's going to, he gonna get paid. He ain't gonna get a max, but he gonna get paid some serious paper because Miles Turner is a baller.
Yeah. Cornelius, Dwight Howard's rumored to be signing with the Miami Heat, and he's supposed to sign before free agency also. I'm not necessarily sure that's a good move in my estimation because Dwight Howard's almost done, if you ask me. But what do you think, man? You think Dwight Howard being back up is a good deal for him? For the Heat?
No, why is he still going? Like really, why is Dwight Howard? I guess he still wants to play for whatever reason. Anybody to give him a contract, I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of him because he's definitely at the end of his career. He had a great career, but I don't know why he's still doing it. Mm-hmm. Just bow out gracefully, you know what I'm saying? Just bow out like some of the other ones did. But no.
Yeah, just bow. Okay, that's it. I think it's Amir's turn. Amir, you up. Amir, we talked about yesterday on the show. We were talking about the Lakers and not signing LeBron James to his contract extension and everything else. They're rumored to basically try to get anybody they can for a player's minimum, whoever's on a player minimum salary. But their whole basically roster is going to possibly stay as is. What do you think the Lakers' chances are making the playoffs next year with the roster as is? Amir.
That's it. You know what? It's going to be interesting. I think possibly the fact that they have a new voice in there. You got Darvin Ham, who, again, appears to be a guy who's gonna go in there and be able to. I think Mike Sean brought this up one of the shows. You need somebody who can talk to LeBron and really get in his ear and get in his face and force him to sometimes take a good hard look in the mirror. Maybe Darvin Ham is that voice. Unfortunately, to this point in his career, he really hasn't had that. He's had a whole bunch of gentlemen who, thankfully, they've been new to the coaching and he's been, relatively learning as he goes. So, it's almost on-job training for all sides, all people involved.
Right.
But I think with the roster that they have, the issue is health is really always the issue. And it really starts with the big man, which is Anthony Davis. If he could stay healthy, then they can be at least somewhat of a force in the West. But as long as he's fragile and like glass, there's always going to be the issue for them. And that's really where the problem lies. All the other players, look, they're going to do what they do. Carmelo is Carmelo. Westbrook is Westbrook. I'm under the impression or hoping that Westbrook takes a good hard look at what he did this year and hopefully doesn't return with that same, kind of energy and playing the game the same way. And if he can, right some of the things that he didn't do well this year, I think that they still have a great chance because you're talking about guys who have basketball acumen, guys who played the game. And let's be clear, these are dudes who your time is running out. You know, that hourglass, the sand is down to the last few, sand crystals. That's where they at with this. So dudes, you don't have much more time to, kind of finish this thing on a high note. So I think they still have a chance. But I think the biggest thing is AD staying healthy. And that's, their challenge.
That definitely be there. All right, now it's time to switch up, man, because the time is moving. When we enjoy this show, man, we go through this rapid fire stuff. The show moves really, really, really quickly. So first thing up, man, Cornelius, I'm gonna throw it out to you because it's just me, you, and Amir. I don't know what happened to Mike, but C-Dog, that's gonna be your name, Cornelius.
All right.
C-Dog, you up first, man. The NFL players are calling for another week, another bye week right now because they're saying a lot more wear and tear, especially since the NFL added an additional game. They wanted to add an additional bye week. The NFL is actually considering having 2 bye weeks for each team. Good idea for you. What you think?
I think it's a good idea if you're adding another game in, especially we talking about CTE. The injury prone thing, the things that go on. It's a very good thing to have an additional bye week. I don't know why you added an extra game in the first place. It was fine that way, but if you're going to add more time in, get them guys that break. You're right. Yeah, you're right, Fig. It's money. But if you're going to do it, give them an extra bye week. It's not going to hurt you. It's going to increase your bottom line. People love football. You add another week into it, and people are going to love it anyway. So you're going to gain revenue.
Well, I'm gonna ask you the same question, man. Do you think a extra bye week in the NFL season, which now got extended to 17 games, you think that's a good idea?
Yeah, man, because it's like Cedar said, man, it gives you an opportunity to get these guys some well-needed rest. You know what I mean? It takes most players probably that entire week to recover from a game on Sunday to get ready for the next one. So an additional week would help them out a lot, especially if they're going to add, that extra game and make the game into and make the season a 17-game season. An extra week will help a lot, especially for those players who are in contention. An extra week of healing, that goes a long way.
You know what, Amir? I like the extra bye week. I just don't like the extra game. That's where I'm at. You know what I mean? Like, I don't like 17-week season. Like I love 16 week, like the way it used to be. I would mind, extra bye week with 16. That way, you play 8. You know what I mean? That's how I would like it. I mean, but if it's 17 games and there's an extra bye week, I can see how what Fig and C-Dog is saying. It makes sense too. Where are you at on the fence on this?
You know what? I think like everything, it's funny. We always upgrade stuff, and then we unfortunately don't always upgrade it the way that it should be upgraded. And I think in this particular case, this makes absolute perfect sense because you're talking about the wear and tear. And it's not only, obviously, like you said, just for the gladiator part of it, but for your elder statesmen in the sport as well. Some of these guys, look, if Tom Brady comes back, he's 40, gonna be 41, or whatever the case may be. Look, God bless him for, having the fortitude and the come back and, still play the game at the level he's able to play it at. But let's be clear, he ain't no spring chicken. So those extra days or that extra week or whatever that these guys now hopefully will have at their disposal to let their bodies heal up and, like you said, get prepared for postseason is going to be paramount for so many teams and for so many players. So I think it's a great thing. I'm with you, though. I think they should have kept it 16 weeks because I thought that was a perfect amount of games and amount of time for us. But again, money always changes everything. So we got to follow the money.
Money always changes a lot of things. Fig, Tennessee Titans right now talking to the press and everything else. And the press out of Tennessee is saying that Tennessee is being vastly overlooked. Do you think Tennessee Titans are being vastly overlooked for playoff picks right now for people, predicting where they're going to land at in the upcoming season in the playoffs? Or do you think that because they lost some key players and, they right where they should be?
It seems like they lost, like they're about to lose like some real key players going forward if they don't handle their contract business. They play a hard-nosed brand of football, smash mouth, run the ball. Football is an aggressive game within itself, but the Titans, they play like old school football. And without playmakers, it's hard to do that. So if you're losing playmakers, you're going to get overlooked. It's just that simple. Because playmakers are the one who make this team go. You need a solid quarterback, and then you need some playmakers on both sides of the ball if you're going to win. And if they're getting rid of those guys, I don't think they're being overlooked. I think people are actually judging them because of the moves that they're making.
Right. C-Dog, the Jets made a hell of a lot of moves this season, man. They got like 17 draft picks. They obviously signed like 4 or 5 different people. Their quarterback has bulked up and everything else. People are expecting right now the Jets to make some noise. Hell, some people even picking the Jets to even make the playoffs. I don't know if you're a Jets fan. I don't know if you're Atlanta Hawks. I don't know where you are, anything else like that. But let's not forget now, the Jets ended up hiring the San Francisco 49ers defensive coordinator. He's been there for a year and some change. He made like the Jets defense did start to play a little bit better towards the end of last year. But do you think it's enough time to say, you know what, the Jets gonna make the playoffs this year, or what year?
I think they need another year, but I do think anything is possible because of how the amount of moves they make, how the draft picks are going to play out that they have. They make some really solid draft picks this year. So I'm still going to give them another year to get up under their feet. They're not going to be contenders this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Jets did a lot of things this year. They signed. The Jets did a lot of stuff right now, but let's not forget either. New Orleans Saints made some big changes too. First thing they did was they hired a new head coach. You know what I mean? they changing their culture. Obviously, Peyton gone. People not picking New Orleans either. Jameis Winston is back. You know what I mean? Jameis Winston's not injured. Are people overlooking New Orleans Saints too? Like how they overlooking the Jets?
You know what? I mean, there's a strong possibility there, but here's the fun part or the caveat for the New Orleans Saints. Jameis Winston, you have been in the league, you've had your ups and your downs, but this is really truly an opportunity for this man to put his stamp on the game and on this organization in particular, right here, right now. If he can knapsack them back into prominence. Not that they lost it too much because they haven't, been out of the mix that long. But if he can knapsack these guys back into prominence, this bodes well for him. It bodes well for the organization and obviously all of the moves they made. So this really is on Jameis Winston and, their new coach, because these guys now have an opportunity to, as you just said, take this new look that they're, bringing to the New Orleans Saints and let the NFL know we're here. Hey, guys, we're back.
Yeah.
So we gotta wait and see.
Fig, Justin Fields is getting ready to do a second year too, man. He getting ready to jump into second year as a QB for the Chicago Bears, man. Everything else, people are saying, you know what, this might be Justin Fields' year. Where are you at with Justin Fields, man? How you feel? Because I know you saw him play a couple times. Where are you at with Justin Fields for year 2 with Chicago?
The thing is, I really like Justin Fields. The only thing is that I don't think that he had enough stability in the organization. I mean, you can have all the talent in the world, but if your organization is not a first-class organization that gives you stability and gives you something to work with and a level of consistency, it's going to be hard for you to thrive and to excel because you just have too many moving parts. And I think that was the problem with Justin Fields. Just too many moving parts since he's gotten to Chicago. I said the same thing about Baker Mayfield. Like this young man had several head coaches, coordinators. I mean, it's just so many moving parts. It's really hard to build on a foundation that's made with sand.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Now, C-Dog, I didn't ask you what your team is. So who's your team? Who you root for?
I used to root for the Ravens a whole lot. I'm in Atlanta, and I can't root for the Falcons for a long time because we have a disheartening relationship. They always let me down at the end of halftime. So,
all right. So your team is the Ravens? That's your team?
Yeah. That was the Ravens, man. I love how the Ravens played. Love the organization, how they just play football.
All right, well, I'm going to leave you with the last question because you're the guest today and everything else, man. Where are you at with this Lamar Jackson situation? Do you think he should play? Do you think with this contract dispute that he got going on right now? Or do you think that literally he should sit out like all the pros who are sitting around him and telling him, bro, you need to sit out because if you get injured, you know what I mean? He's a mobile QB. You know how he sit out for that, his last year of his contract. What do you think?
I'm on the fence with it because I think he should play, but you got to take care of yourself. And I think that, I don't care what the fans think or what I think if you should play or not. You should take care of yourself. If you're not going to get a new contract, just everybody know what you can do. I mean, just look at the Cleveland Browns situation when they took Watson too, when they took him and under all his scrutiny right now. So it's not like it's not possible. So I would just, what you can do, protect your health, because if you get hurt, you don't get that money.
Ain't that true? Well, thank you for joining the show today, bro. How can everybody follow you?
Hey, man, you can follow me on Instagram on the Cornelius George, or you see the logo behind you called Laugh Your Class Off. School teacher, educator. Instagram is Cornelius George, or Facebook is Cornelius George. It's right here.
Thank you. I appreciate you stepping in today, man. I appreciate that. Amir, tell everybody out there how they can follow you.
You got me down there at the bottom, A-Rock Saley on Instagram, and I'm Amir Saley on Facebook, and Amir Saley on Twitter. And always, man, I love getting on here, chopping it up with you guys. So, salute and thank you.
I appreciate that. Fig, tell everybody out there how they can follow you, bro.
At Comedian Fig, all social media platforms, man. Appreciate you guys coming in. Cornelius, man, love your point of view, man. At Comedian Fig, all social media platforms. I'll talk to y'all next time.
Thank you all. Thank you all for joining the show. I don't even know if we're going to do the show tomorrow because everybody seems like they're going to be traveling tomorrow, but we'll figure it out amongst ourselves. We'll figure it out. Cornelius, thank you for joining the show. Fig, thank you.
Anytime.
Thank you for that. Tomorrow, hopefully we can do the show tomorrow because you know the game, whatever happens tonight, we're going to talk about it tomorrow. You know what I mean? And I'm sweating bullets over here. I'm sweating bullets.
If it's just me and you, Frank, we on.
Yeah, if they lose, we not. If the Celtics lose, I'm tomorrow. Like, we not.
You protesting?
Yeah, I protest. I'm already saying now, it was those damn refs. It was the refs. Yeah. Nah, I don't know. Nah, you know the thing about me is if win or lose, I'm gonna be here tomorrow. You know, win or lose, I'm gonna be here tomorrow. You know, so I just ain't gonna take no nothing stuff from nobody. I don't want to hear it. You know how I'm as passionate about my team as Fig is about
As everybody is, yeah. As you should be.
You know,
as you should be.
Right, but the only thing that's killing me, man, is the Celtics are beating themselves. You know what I mean? If Golden State beats them tonight, then that's one thing. But if they beat themselves with 20-something turnovers, man, I'll be hot.
Yeah,
I'll be hot.
They gotta stop that hero ball, Frank. There's a lot of they got formidable players, but they play hero ball. Your turn, my turn.
Don't get me started.
And when they start moving the ball, that's when they win.
Big, don't get me started because I already know I think they're the better team. You know what I mean? And that's exactly how they win. But anyway, y'all, that's the show. Thank you all for watching. The show's called Box Seat. It's on Humor Mill. You can download the app. You can tune into several different platforms. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Sometimes I think we will. We're supposed to be here at 1 o'clock tomorrow. If we lose, I'm gonna be mad. We'll be at 105. We'll be on 105. But we'll be at tomorrow. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate y'all.